Vice Chief Pratt, thanks for being with us. It's been a tumultuous year, I think one could say, for the Assembly of First Nations, with the former National Chief's removal this summer, claims of bullying and harassment within the organization. What do you think needs to be done for the AFN to move forward from here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the program today. And I think what we require is a lot of healing at the national organization. I know that the National Indian Brotherhood and the Assembly of First Nations was formed to bring a collective voice to our First Nations here in Canada and to strengthen our position across the issues from coast to coast. And somewhere along the way, because of some of the challenges we've had the last few years, and even prior to that, we haven't always functioned effectively the way we should for our chiefs. So I think that a lot of healing needs to happen. I think we need to look at some of the internal practices that have been taking place at the organization, as well as hearing directly from the Secretariat and the staff internally, as well as our chiefs and our executive members as to how we move forward and fix some of the issues that have been outstanding this last little while.
There are, of course, a number of First Nations people who say they feel the AFN no longer has their best interests at heart. What would you say to those people, and how would you improve relations between the AFN and the nations it represents?
Well, I think, I know that there have been some issues with our organization. I know that for myself included, I've had some issues with the AFN as well, in terms of communication, in terms of the mandates, and in terms of keeping us in the loop, so to speak. For the last 5 out of the last 6 years, I've been the portfolio holder for the health and social files here at the FSN within Saskatchewan, and I'm co-chair of the Chiefs Committee on Health at the Assembly of First Nations. And I think a lot of times that lack of communication hurts the organization and hurts the mandates, when we're not communicating effectively with our chiefs, when we're not controlling the narrative, and reassuring our people that we're working on their behalf and that our mandates are being advanced and their concerns and issues are being addressed around our tables. I think those are some of the challenges and some of the things that disconnect happens between the organization and not just the people at the grassroots levels, but even the chiefs themselves. And my hope is to increase that communication, streamline, let our people know more of what's going on, and give our chiefs and our people a greater voice at the organization as we're moving forward on the mandates collectively.
Well, if elected as the next national chief, what would be some of your biggest priorities for the AFN?
Well, I think we need to conduct a thorough internal review. I'd like to see exactly where we are at in terms of some of the complaints that have gone forward internally. I'd like to make sure that those are adequately and properly addressed. A number of the reports and files that have been stagnant, so to speak, over the course of the last few years, I'd like to get a thorough review and see where they're at in terms of the implementation around MMIW, UNDRIP, the TRC report, to get a report card, so to speak, and a status on each of where those files are at, but also in terms of the report from the harassment that has been presented at the last Chiefs Assembly, ensuring that the implementation of that takes place, and working closely with our Women's Council as well as our Elders and Youth Council to ensure that those reports are implemented and that the organization is a safe place for our staff and for our people as we work forward collectively on the mandate. So those are some of the immediate things. I think that also getting an update on those mandates, of course, ensuring that the chiefs are reassured that there's good governance in place, that we're doing our due diligence with those files and those mandates and implementing them thoroughly.
Well, what would you like to see the Assembly of First Nations accomplish over the next year?
Well, I think we've got a number of key issues we've got to focus on, and I think housing is one of the biggest ones that we need to work on. Right now, that the Prime Minister, has made a number of announcements, making major municipal housing investments to deal with the housing crisis within the cities, towns, and municipalities across the country from one end to the other. What we'd like to see is a major capital and infrastructure investment in housing too for First Nations. because there's an infrastructure gap that's been taking place and First Nations are far behind. So number one, improving housing outcomes. I think if we can fix housing, we can fix a number of the social issues that we're dealing with right now in many of our First Nations communities across the nation. Of course, lands and resources tied specifically to economic development will be another priority area that we need to focus on too as well. It's not that First Nations are opposed to resource development and extraction. What First Nations want is free, prior, and informed consent. We want to say when resource companies are trying to develop in our backyards and extract resources, because it's not that our people are against it. We want to make sure that the water is going to be there for future generations and that the land is protected. So a number of things have to be focused on, and I think those will be the priorities moving forward. My platform is out now. I believe we released it to the chiefs today, as well as my 90-day transition plan. So that's been given out to the leadership too as well, I believe, as media. So looking forward to engaging in those conversations. I believe we start our first regional forum tomorrow with the Atlantic region. I'm looking forward to talking with them about their key issues and priorities and the successive regions over the course of the next few weeks, and ultimately meeting our chiefs December 5th, 6th, and 7th. And should things work out, taking the reins at the National Chief's Office and bringing back that stability, good governance, and getting refocused on the mandates of the national organization.
Vice Chief Pratt, we'll have to leave it there, but wish you luck and appreciate you taking some time for us.
Well, thank you very much, and you stay safe, and we'll be in touch with you over the course of the campaign, and I'll see you in Ottawa.